Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 170. We are starting a brand new Super Sentai, and it's the 7th one ever released. Yep, and this is one that I kind of felt as though I had to do this one. It's called Kichu Sentai Dynaman, released in 1984, concluded in 1985. Now, why did I pick this one next? Because I keep skipping this one, and I insist I had to do this before my very next one I'm going to do. Which I'll do that when I finish this one up. Now, this is discussing the first 4 episodes of Dynaman. Yes, the Dynaman team itself, well, they are quite unique as a team. Now you're probably thinking, how are they unique? Well, trying to get to the page here. Excuse me. I should have probably opened this up before then. Now this comes after Go-Go 5 and before Bioman. Yes. This here is your team. Oh, come on, seriously? Thank you. Alright. There's your team for you. Yes. Yeah. Basically, the Dynaman Rangers look like they're basically wearing baseball uniforms. Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly why they picked this one for, but they did. And originally, apparently the original uniforms were going to look like this, like actual baseball uniforms. Yeah, this is the original design they actually were going to have for, like, the helmets still look pretty much the same, except the uniforms look different. Yes. Now, there are 5 people here, 4 guys and 1 woman. Basically, here's them plus the Dr. Yamuno, who is the inventor of the team. He's basically the team's scientist and mentor. And here they are inside the base operations. Now, the base operations is the Yamino Invention Center. Basically, he has Mentorsoft, and he has this in the back. Excuse me. Now, this is just him. Now, he recruited these 5 people purely because of the fact these people have courage to become warriors. Their names are, we have Dan, who is Dyna Red. We have Hakadora, who is basically Dyna Black, who also was Go-Go 5 Black. Dyna Blue is Shamina. Nagro is Dyna Yellow. He actually has played a role in one of the episodes. And Tapisha, who's Dyna Pink. Of course, there's a robot there. It's the assistant. Now, we have technically 3. Now, the main villain of the organization is known as the Tail Beast Jock. Well, here's what is Jock Empire. The subvertible is simply like the underground. Mostly put anyways. Now, this is their main bet. This is basically their boss. 9-tail Emperor Anton, who looks like something out of Japanese folklore. He is the main villain of this whole series. Oh yeah. Now one of his top generals is General Carr. That is him right there. And you might be thinking, wow, he looks like a stereotypical Asian general. He kind of is. And of course, you kind of have a guy who's pretty much here, basically almost the entire thing. Prince Megiddo, who actually was referred to as the 5-tailed prince. Well, that was until basically in the opening episode where Dyna Red chopped one of his tails. No, seriously. Yeah. There are people who join later on in the series. I'm not going to get to them. The main grunts of the series are known as tail soldiers. Yeah, they just were random people, and then they just transform into when they spread a tail out of their rear end. Yes, they're called the tail soldiers, just because. We have their fighters, the Gonspiko, and basically we have the first 4 monsters. So we have Crab, Rhino, Bat, and Turbot. Basically, the process they use to create these monsters, it's very similar to how, from what I can tell, It seems like they basically kind of borrow a similar process from Gogol 5 and some Vulcan. It's a very similar process, basically various DNAs into one machine. Now, they do in fact show this off starting with episode 2, where they basically have the Rhino, Bat, and Turbot. Now, basically, they cause chaos, and the course general goes service. And at first, they basically have it where you have Dyna Ray's riding his motorcycle, then he's attacked. Then he's able to have basically Dyna Pink just hitch a ride. And she's carrying a sword for some reason. Yeah, she's a swordswoman. Yeah, basically, the one thing about this one is a heavy, like a lot of the members of this team basically got swords. The Dyna Red does, Dyna Pink, I believe. Also that some basically like I think like Dyna Black carries a boomerang. You're thinking a boomerang? That's interesting. You might think, okay, who was the last known Ranger in Super Sentai to have a boomerang as a weapon? Mirror Ranger from Go Ranger. He was the last known one to do that. Yeah. I'm trying to think. What was the other individual weapons here? You have the Cross Cutter. Now, down in Black, they reveal he's actually he's descended from Ninja Clan. The brace simply just a wristwatch they basically wear. They gave him that in the first episode. And apparently these people have no problem with basically being, well, Rangers, obviously. Yeah, and here's the thing. They're given 2 vehicles, 2 regular vehicles to operate. Dyna Red's got motorcycles, obviously. He's motorcycles. Everybody else rides basically like a Jeep. Yeah, and looks very similar to something I'll see later on. That looks, appearance-wise, reminds me a lot of the live Cougar that was seen about 4 years after this. Yep. Now, as for their Megazord, which makes his debut in the opening episode. Let's see if we can find it here. And of course, because the show era, they still use carrier Zords, one's known as Dino Jumper. This is basically the Robo. And appearance-wise, it does look a little different than the last one per se, but not by much. Yeah. I mean, appearance-wise, it reminds you a little bit of the last couple. It's like they haven't gone past this particular design for the... Now, here's the thing. Unlike the last one, which they have 3... Like, they have... Like the last one, it's basically we have 3 parts. But here's something interesting about them. Now, the first part, Dyna, basically the flying one, that's done by the Red Ranger, just like the last couple. In the case of the second and third one, they actually have 2 people in the cockpit this time. Okay, that's different. Now, Red operates basically the head. By the way, the main weapon was a Science Sword. There's also Dyna Knuckle, Dyna Shield, Dyna Boomerang, and Beat Hammer. Yeah, Dyna Mac is basically what Dyna Red pilots. The Dynamobile is piloted by Dyna Black and Blue, and Yellow and Pink pilot Dyna Gary. Yep. Yeah. And unlike other Sentai I've watched, there's no other... This is the only mech they have. I mean, that the whole thing of basically them getting a second mech, that would not become a factor until Flashman. Which was 3 Sentai have this one. Basically just one and only one. Nothing else. Same carrier Zord, so they transport out. And I gotta admit, basically, the special effects one definitely was an improvement over Go-Go V from the start. For one thing, it does look so low budget. It does not look like low budget at all. It seems like this one. They must have realized, though, that there were some complaints with Go-Go 5 where it looked very low budget. We can see basically the strings for some of the Zords we have here. It was very, very obvious early on in the first half of the series. That fixed later on. This one, it looks a lot more cleaner. It definitely looks like it was definitely made in the 80s compared to the last 2 before. This one looked like it's still made in the 70s. So when they attack, and of course they have these various monsters. The crab one, not really much big thing with him, just caused a lot of chaos. The bat one, well, he appears in episode 3. Basically, the whole thing with him is that he basically wants to spread gas around the force people underground, though it doesn't work anyways. The fourth one, turn people to fossils, though At one point during the battle, Dyna Yellow goes missing, and apparently they accidentally turn him to a fossil. Though he gets freed and they beat the monster again. But what about the Rhinoceros one? Well, he does get monster. Mostly put a lot of the episode focuses on Prince Megiddo trying to get revenge against Dyna Red, which basically he gets defeated, but not killed per se. But I gotta say, it's definitely a good start for this particular series. Nothing really bad here per se. It's got a good start to it. Excuse me. One thing I definitely notice of this one is that nothing here looks cheap. It looks like basically they definitely increased the budget for this one. It looks like the same level they used for Bioman, which came right after this one. This definitely was the start of the more cleaner style, and the visuals definitely look like basically a lot of money was put into the visuals, which love it. Looks beautiful. Yeah, nothing on the Rangers per se. I did like it in episode 2, where they actually had basically a training room in their headquarters. Where the heck is in the Adventure Center, I don't know. So, basically, Dyna Red was training to basically try to beat Prince Megiddo, which he eventually comes to the idea of merging his two swords into one, form one big sword, two blades. Similar to Darth Maul, but this was like roughly 15 years before Darth Maul did it. But definitely a good start for Dynaman. It definitely feels like that. I don't feel embarrassed talking about this one as, let's say, Go 5, because repeat stock footage of fight sequence. Here, it looks very unique, and I did have a theory of why in the world it looks so cheap, because a lot of the money was supposed to probably go to that one, went to Space Sheriff Gavin, obviously. Yep. But still looking forward to reviewing the rest. I've got 47 left to go, but like in the case of our Sentai, with the exception we have with Go Ranger, I'm doing the first 25 episodes and then stopping. So I've got 21 more episodes left to go before I stop. Would I get a chance to move for this one? It's possible. Okay. Next video is going to be Comic Corn. It's on the case close over there. Okay. Next video. Bye.